If you decide to sell your home, one of the first decisions you make is how you want to sell it. A lot of people think there is only one option: hire an agent and let them handle everything. But today, sellers actually have different ways to sell their home, and each option gives you a different level of help. Some sellers want someone to handle almost everything. Some sellers want to handle parts themselves to save money, and some sellers want a mix of both. The goal today is simple: help sellers understand their choices so they can decide what works best for them. Because when sellers clearly understand their options, they can make better decisions about how they want to sell their home. Before we continue, I want to note that these are special confidential remarks being shared as part of Day 4 of Open Access Launch Week, presented in alignment with National Consumer Protection Week, which focuses on helping consumers better understand important financial decisions, including decisions about selling a home. Every home seller is different. Some sellers have busy schedules and want someone to manage the whole process. Other sellers are comfortable doing some of the work themselves. And some sellers just want advice while they stay in control. So when a seller chooses a service, they are really deciding 4 things: how much money they want to spend, how much time they want to spend managing the sale, how much risk they are comfortable with, how much professional help they want. There isn't one right answer. The best choice depends on the seller. Most sellers today choose between 3 main ways to sell their home. The first is full service. That means a real estate professional handles most of the process. The second is flat fee or limited service. That means the seller pays for certain services but handles some parts of the sale themselves. The third option is hybrid or menu-based service. This lets the seller pick exactly which services they want help with. So the big decision for sellers is, how much help do I want and how much do I want to do myself? With full service, the real estate professional manages most of the work involved in selling the home. They usually help with setting the price, marketing the home, scheduling showings, negotiating with buyers, managing contracts, coordinating inspections, and closing. The seller still makes the important decisions, but the agent helps guide the entire process. This option usually costs more because the seller is getting the most help. Many sellers choose this because it is the simplest and most hands-off option. Flat fee services work differently. Instead of paying a percentage commission when the home sells, the seller pays a set price for specific services. For example, a seller might pay a flat fee to list the home on the MLS. They may also get help preparing contracts, but the seller usually handles things like scheduling showings, talking with buyers or agents, sometimes helping with negotiations. Because the seller is doing more of the work, this option usually costs less. Many sellers choose this option when they want to save money and stay more involved in the process. Hybrid services give sellers flexibility. Instead of choosing one full package, sellers can pick the services they want help with. For example, a seller might list the home for a flat fee, handle showings themselves, but hire a professional to help negotiate offers. Another seller might want help with contracts but manage everything else. Hybrid services allow sellers to build the level of support they want. This option often sits somewhere in the middle for both cost and involvement. When sellers compare their options, there are 4 important things to look at. First is cost. How much will it cost to sell the home using this service? Second is time. How much time will the seller need to spend managing the process? Third is risk. Is the seller comfortable handling pricing, negotiations, and paperwork? Fourth is expertise. How much guidance will a professional provide? Usually, when the cost goes down, the seller takes on more responsibility. So the decision is really about finding the balance that works best for you. If we compare these options side by side, it becomes easier to understand. Full service usually costs more. but the seller does less work. Flat fee services usually cost less, but the seller manages more of the process. Hybrid services fall somewhere in between. They give sellers flexibility to choose where they want help. The important thing to remember is this: there is no single best option for every seller. The right option is simply the one that fits the seller's goals and comfort level. There are some common misunderstandings when sellers look at their options. Some people think full service always produces better results. But results actually depend on things like pricing, market conditions, and negotiation. Some sellers think flat fee means they get no help. But many flat fee services still provide professional support. Another misunderstanding is that lower cost always means lower quality. In reality, service quality depends on the provider and what services are included. That's why sellers should always focus on understanding the value of what they're getting. Before choosing a service, sellers should ask a few important questions. Ask, what services are included? What services cost extra? What is the total estimated cost? Who will negotiate with buyers? Who handles contracts and paperwork? And what support is available after an offer is accepted? The clearer these answers are, the easier it is for a seller to make a smart decision. When deciding how to sell your home, it helps to ask yourself a few simple questions. Do I want someone to manage most of the process for me? Or do I want to save money and handle some parts myself? Do I have the time to coordinate showings and communicate with buyers? Am I comfortable negotiating offers and reviewing contracts? Your answers will help determine which service option fits you best. Before choosing any service, sellers should make sure they clearly understand a few things. They should know the total cost, how the payment works, what services are included, what services are not included, what responsibilities belong to the seller, what responsibilities belong to the provider. If anything is unclear, ask for it in writing. Clear expectations help prevent problems later. The main idea behind open access is simple. Sellers should understand their options before making big financial decisions. Real estate services should be clear and transparent. Sellers should know what they're paying for and what help they will receive. And most importantly, sellers should be able to choose the level of support that works best for them. Because when sellers understand their options, they can make better decisions. And in the end, the seller decides. This has been a special confidential remarks.